Once upon a time, in a peaceful town where neighbors greeted each other every morning and where children played under mango trees till dusk, a baby girl was born into a quiet household. Her name was Chimamanda. From the very first moment she opened her eyes, the world seemed to pause. Nurses at the hospital stared at her like they had just seen an angel. One of them whispered, "This child is too fine. Her face looks like light." They all took turns holding her, some even prayed for her. People who had come to visit other patients found themselves stopping by Amanda's cot just to admire her. Amanda was the only child of her parents, a middle-class couple who lived simply but with joy. Her father, Mr. Collins, was a school teacher, and her mother, Mrs. Evelyn, ran a small provision store near the junction. They weren't rich, but they were content. And now they had Amanda, a child who carried the kind of beauty you only saw in storybooks. By the time she was 3, Amanda was already known across the street. Children stopped crying when she walked in. Women smiled more when she greeted them. Men paused their conversations to say, "That child's face is something else." At church, ushers used to ask her mother every Sunday, "Please, let Amanda sit in the front row. She brings peace to the row." And through it all, Amanda remained calm, respectful and kind. She was never the kind to shout or fight. She always said please and thank you, and she never forgot to greet the elders around her. If anyone dropped something, Amanda picked it. If an older woman carried a heavy bag, Amanda helped. Her beauty wasn't just in her face, it lived in her character. But the more the world admired Amanda, the more another little girl's heart began to burn silently. Her name was Ruth. Ruth lived 2 houses away from Amanda. They were close in age, went to the same school, attended the same church, and even played together every evening. People often refer to them as twins that were born in different houses. But there was one painful difference. No one ever admired Ruth the way they admired Amanda. While Amanda was praised, Ruth was passed over. If they walked into a compound together, people greeted Amanda first. If they stood side by side, the compliments always landed on Amanda. "Ah, Amanda, you are looking like a princess. See your fine legs. Are you sure you are not mixed with Oyibo?" She's so well behaved, so decent. And Ruth, she got the usual "hello dear" and nothing more. At first, Ruth smiled. She told herself it didn't matter, but little by little she started noticing things she couldn't unsee. Amanda would receive gifts at birthday parties. She would get picked first for performances at school, and if someone's son came home from the university, it was Amanda's house they visited, not hers. One day, when they were about 12 years old, Ruth sat on her bed and stared at her mirror. "Why is it always her?" she whispered. "Why does the world only see Amanda?" No one heard her. No one ever did. Amanda, on her part, never noticed Ruth's pain. She genuinely loved her friend. If she received something nice, she shared with Ruth. If someone complimented her, she would say, "Ruth is beautiful too." She often defended Ruth when other girls mocked her or left her out. She thought they were sisters in spirit. Ruth thought otherwise. By the time they entered the university, Ruth had already learned how to wear a smile like makeup. She laughed with Amanda, hugged her, prayed with her, but inside her chest was a small burning coal of envy that never died out. At the end of their university days, Amanda graduated with good grades. She returned home glowing with joy. People said, "Amanda is ripe now, she's marriage material," and they were right. Men began to knock on the door. Some were rude and only wanted her beauty. She rejected them gently. Others were decent but didn't connect with her spirit. She let them go peacefully. But then came Alex. He was tall, well-spoken, smart, and dressed like someone who had never borrowed a shirt in his life. He was the son of a well-known businessman in the East, but unlike other rich boys, Alex was polite and gentle. He first saw Amanda at a wedding. She was sitting at the back, dressed simply in a yellow gown that hugged her like sunlight. He didn't blink for a full minute. The next day, he found her Instagram through a cousin. He messaged her respectfully. Amanda showed the message to Ruth, laughing. This one looks serious, Amanda said, smiling. Ruth forced a smile. He looks like trouble. Rich boys can't be trusted. But Amanda didn't listen. Alex was different. He visited with his friends. He brought gifts for Amanda's parents. He asked permission before holding her hand. People said, "Ha, this is husband though." Even Amanda's father said one night, "If he continues like this, I'll thank God for blessing us." Amanda started falling in love. Ruth started falling apart. She watched them hold hands in public. She saw Alex open car doors for Amanda. She heard Amanda say, "Ruth, I think he's the one. I can feel it in my chest." Ruth smiled. "Aw, I'm happy for you." But that night, she couldn't sleep. She tossed on her bed until midnight. She opened and closed her WhatsApp repeatedly. She looked at Amanda's Instagram, post after post of beauty, grace, and joy. Then an idea entered her mind like a thief in the night. If I can't be her, maybe I can destroy her. The next day, Ruth visited Amanda and suggested something. "Let's go out tonight, just you and me. You're always with Alex now. I miss my friend." Amanda smiled. "Oh, you're right. Let's do something light. But you know I don't do loud places or drink." "Of course not," Ruth laughed. "It's just a soft bar. You can even take malt. I just want us to laugh like old times." That evening, Amanda wore a soft blue gown. Ruth called an Uber. He drove them to a quiet bar near town. The lights were warm, soft music played. Amanda ordered Chapman. Ruth ordered water and something extra. As Amanda stepped outside to cough after sipping her drink too fast, Ruth opened her bag quickly, brought out a small sachet and poured the powder into Amanda's water. Amanda returned, laughing. "You see why I don't drink? My throat almost slapped me." Ruth giggled. "Drink water, Joe." Amanda lifted the glass and drank. Few minutes later, she started blinking slowly. "I feel tired." "Maybe you are stressed," Ruth said sweetly. "Let's get you home." They ordered a ride. Amanda was asleep before the car turned off the main road. When they got to Amanda's apartment, Ruth opened the door with Amanda's spare key. A man was already waiting inside, a tall stranger Ruth had arranged earlier. He wore jeans and a polo. He looked nervous. "Just lie beside her. Don't touch anything. Just pose." Ruth took the picture of Amanda asleep and the strange man lying together. Then Ruth whispered, "Thank you," and sent the images to Alex. Before then, at the bar, Ruth had copied out Alex's number to her phone, waiting for the right time to strike. The message landed on Alex's phone at exactly 11:44 p.m. He stared at them for 5 minutes. No words, just heavy breathing. A moment later, Amanda's phone buzzed. "You played me. I thought you were different. I looked at you and I saw forever. I told my mother you were the one. I made space for you in my life and my heart. And now I feel shame. I was stupid to believe in you. Please don't ever call this number again." Alex blocked Amanda's number. The next day, Amanda woke up feeling like she had slept for 2 days. "How long was I out?" she asked Ruth, rubbing her eyes. "Just a few hours," Ruth replied, yawning. "You were exhausted." Amanda nodded but felt a strange ache in her spirit. Later that day, she tried calling Alex. The number didn't ring. She opened WhatsApp. The final message before the chat disappeared. "You looked innocent. I guess even the devil wears a pretty face." Amanda sat on her bed, staring at the screen. Her mouth quivered. Her heart raced. "I didn't do anything." Her heart began to shake. She looked at Ruth, who was now rubbing her back. "My dear friend," Ruth said with a soft voice, "don't worry. If he left you like that, maybe he was never meant for you." But the moment Amanda turned away, Ruth walked into the kitchen and laughed so hard her stomach hurt. She opened her mouth wide and said, "Fool, you thought you would leave me behind and marry a rich man. It will never happen. Amanda the precious, Amanda the princess. Rubbish." And for the first time in a long time, Ruth slept with peace in her heart. Amanda tried to move on. She told herself that maybe Alex was never meant to be her husband, that maybe, just maybe, something better was coming. She smiled during the day, cleaned the house and attended to her business, and told everyone she was fine. But at night, she cried, quietly, alone. She never told Ruth how much it broke her. She didn't want to seem weak, but the truth was, she was hurting. Still, life moved on. One evening, as Amanda and Ruth walked along the busy streets after picking up a few things from the market, something unexpected happened. A clean black Jeep pulled over beside them. The glass rolled down. "Excuse me," a calm voice said. Both ladies turned. The man in the driver's seat wore a well-tailored shirt, fine wristwatch, and had a well-groomed beard that gave him a mature, responsible look. His name was Jude, and he wasn't there by accident. He looked straight at Amanda. "Hi, I'm sorry to interrupt, but I saw you from afar and something told me I shouldn't let you pass without saying something." Amanda blinked. "I hope you don't mind. Could I have your number? I know it's sudden, but you seem like someone I would regret not meeting properly." Ruth was standing beside her, smiling, but inside her stomach turned. Amanda hesitated, blushed a little, and quietly said, "Okay." She gave the number. As the car drove away, Ruth beat the inside of her cheek to keep her from screaming. Later that night, Amanda told Ruth more about the man. "He's a real estate guy," Amanda said. "He owns his own company. He has a younger sister abroad, and Ruth, he's so respectful, like really calm. He texts me good morning and calls to check in." Ruth just nodded and smiled. "Aw, sounds like a good man." But that night, Ruth couldn't sleep. She tossed from side to side, but Amanda's laughter kept echoing in her head. Why does she keep getting everything? Why do men keep choosing her over me? She sat up from the bed and sat down in the dark for a while, her hands clenched tightly together. Suddenly, a wicked idea crept into her mind like smoke through a crack. If Amanda's beauty was the light blocking her shine, then maybe it was time to dim the light permanently. Without a second thought, Ruth changed into some dark clothes, wrapped her head and left the house. She took a bike into the outskirts of town, deep into a bush path only few people dared to go. After what felt like forever, she reached a hidden compound surrounded by dead leaves and black smoke. There was a strange silence in the air, like the ground itself was afraid to speak. An old native doctor sat cross-legged by a clay burning pot. As Ruth approached, he lifted his head slowly. "I've been waiting," he said in a coarse voice, as if he already knew she was coming. Ruth didn't waste time. "I want her to become ugly," she said. "Who?" the man asked. "Amanda. Her face attracts too much. Her beauty opens every door. I want men to run from her. I want her to be feared and not desired." The man looked at her for a long time without speaking. Then he stood up and picked a small calabash. He waved it over the fire, whispered some words under his breath, and then turned back to Ruth. "This kind of spell," he said, "cannot be done with empty hands. You must bring something that belongs to her, something valuable, something that has touched her skin." "Like what?" "A piece of clothes, jewelry, or anything close to her body. When you bring it, the spell will be completed." Ruth nodded. "I'll bring it. I'll bring something." The next morning, Ruth visited Amanda as if nothing happened. They chatted like normal, and after a few minutes, Ruth smiled and said, "That red top you wore last week, the silky one, I really like it though. It made you look like a goddess." Amanda laughed. "You like it?" "I do." "If you want it, take it," Amanda said casually. "It's yours." "Seriously?" Ruth asked, smiling brightly. "Sure. I've worn it twice already. You can have it." Ruth left the house with the blouse tucked neatly in her bag and a devilish grin on her face. That night, she returned to the native doctor with the clothes. The man took the cloth with both hands as if it was gold. He laid the cloth on the floor, poured black powder on it, and began chanting some strange words. He tied feathers, oil, and blood around the clothes, spat on it 3 times, and then dropped it into the fire. The flames hissed loudly. Then the native doctor turned to Ruth and handed her a small round pot wrapped in red clothes. "From this moment, any man who looks at her will see a monster. She will be feared, not loved. rejected, not accepted. He leaned in closer, but remember, hide this spot well. If anyone sees it, the curse will return to you 7 times stronger. Ruth clutched the pot and nodded, and left the shrine with a wicked fire in her eyes. The next few days were normal. Amanda continued chatting with Jude. They planned to meet again. He offered to take her out, lunch at a nice hotel. That morning, Amanda wore a soft pink gown. She looked radiant. Her hair was packed neatly, light makeup, perfume. She felt ready for a new chapter. She had Jude's car on. He was downstairs. Amanda smiled and rushed out. As she stepped out of the gate, Jude stepped out of the car too and froze. His face twisted, his eyes widened, and his smile vanished. Amanda walked closer, confused. "Hi," she said. Jude took 2 steps back. "Wait, what's wrong with you?" He stammered and suddenly entered his car and drove off. Just like that. Amanda stood there. People on the street stared. One woman whispered, "Why did he run like that?" Amanda went back inside, confused and broken. She texted Jude, no reply. She called, switched off. She sat on her bed and stared at the wall for 2 hours. That was how Jude blocked her and never called her again. The next week, a new man came. This one was from church. His name was Stan, a youth leader, kind, funny, godly. He started talking to Amanda gradually through WhatsApp. He even prayed for her over the phone. Amanda was cautious but hopeful. One day, he came to visit. He greeted Amanda's mom politely, sat in the parlor, and Amanda came out to say hello. He stood up to greet her, but as his eyes met her face, something changed suddenly. He sat down slowly, then checked his phone like he had a message. I remembered something," he said. "I have to rush somewhere urgent. I'll call you later." He left immediately. He never called. Amanda opened WhatsApp that night. He had blocked her. By the 3rd man, Amanda had stopped expecting anything. And when her boss at the private school suddenly called her into the office and said, "We're letting you go," no reason in particular, Amanda knew something was seriously wrong. She walked home that day under the hot sun wearing sunglasses, not to block the sun, but to hide her tears. At night, she cried for hours. Her mother sat beside her, holding her like a baby.
"Mama, is there something wrong with me?"
"No, baby," her mother said softly, tears in her own eyes. "You're still my light."
"Why is everything breaking, Mama? Why do people run from me now? Why do men look at me like a ghost?"
Her mother didn't have answers. She just held her tighter. And the neighbors began to talk. Gossip flew from house to house like wildfire. "That Amanda girl, maybe she has a spiritual husband. All those fine girls, you won't know what they do at night. Every man that comes for her runs. That's not ordinary. Her mother should better take her for deliverance." So Amanda heard some of it. The rest she felt in the stairs. She stopped going out, stopped posting online, stopped looking in the mirror. Every time she tried to smile, the sadness in her eyes betrayed her. Ruth, on the other hand, was flourishing. She posted pictures online, laughing. She told people Amanda was taking a break from social media. But in her room at night, she opened the black pot and smiled like a queen who had won the crown. She even lit a candle beside it and whispered, "Now the world can see who truly deserves to shine." The days blurred into each other. Amanda stopped counting time. She no longer knew if it was Monday or Friday. The only thing that told her a new day had come was the light seeping through her curtain each morning, and even that felt like an enemy. She had become a ghost in her own home. Her phone gathered dust. Her wardrobe stayed untouched. She barely left her room, and when she did, her shoulders were hunched, her eyes swollen from nights of crying. Her once soft skin turned pale, her appetite vanished, and her reflection no longer looked familiar. The girl who used to make people smile had become someone strangers avoided, and even people who once loved her now whispered behind her back. In the beginning, Amanda tried to pray. She laid on her bed and muttered, "God, are you still watching?" But by the end of the second week, her voice had gone silent too. One afternoon, her mother entered her room and found her sitting on the cold floor with her arms wrapped around her knees. "Amanda, you haven't eaten all day," her mother said softly. "I'm not hungry," Amanda replied, her voice weak. "You can't keep going like this."
"I didn't do anything, Mama. I only tried to be good. I was always respectful. I prayed. I waited. So why is life punishing me?"
Her mother kneeled beside her and pulled her close. "My daughter, I don't know what this is, but I know who you are and I still believe in you." Amanda broke down in her mother's arms. Tears flowed without shame. She wept like a child, shaking with pain that she couldn't put into words. Outside their house, the gossips were getting louder. Meanwhile, Ruth kept up appearances. She visited Amanda sometimes, pretending to be concerned, and then left to laugh behind closed doors. At night, she would open her drawer, look at the black pot and whisper, "You wanted to leave me behind, marry a rich man while I was still struggling. Never." But even Ruth didn't know that the pot she treasured had started cracking very slowly. Then came the day everything changed. Amanda's mother convinced her to go to the market. "Just get some air. Please, let's walk, even if we buy nothing." Amanda agreed reluctantly. She wore a big face cap with no makeup and kept her eyes on the ground as they walked from store to store. At one corner, Amanda's mother stepped away to buy something from a vegetable seller. Amanda stood by the small store waiting. Then it happened. A man in clean suit, mid-40s, well-dressed, calm, walked past her, stopped suddenly and turned. He looked directly at Amanda. His face changed. He took 2 steps towards her, stared again, then gasped. "Jesus," he whispered, loud enough for Amanda to hear. Amanda turned slowly. "Excuse me?" she asked, confused. "Please, I didn't mean to scare you. But your face, do you know what's sitting on it?" Amanda's heart dropped. "What do you mean?" "There's a veil," he said, his voice trembling. "A black spiritual covering. I just saw it now. I don't know you, but the Spirit of God opened my eyes." Amanda stared at him like he had spoken a foreign language. He stepped closer. "Do you know anyone who has been working against you? A close friend, a friend?" Amanda's lips parted slowly. "Why are you saying this?" "Because I'm a prophet," he said gently, "and heaven just revealed that you're not caused by accident. You are under attack. There's a pot somewhere, something used to cover your beauty, to scare men from you." Amanda staggered backwards. Her mother rushed back. "What's going on?" The man nodded respectfully at Amanda's mother. "Mama, your daughter is carrying something that doesn't belong to her. Please, bring her to this church tomorrow." He reached into his pocket and handed Amanda a small business card. "Prophet Elijah Ministries, Deliverance and Healing." "Come," he said. "If you still believe in God at all, come." Then he walked away. That night, Amanda didn't sleep. She clutched the card like it was a rope holding her to the edge of life. She stared at her ceiling, and for the first time in months, she prayed. From a place so broken, even God must have paused to listen. The next morning, Amanda and her mother dressed quietly and made their way to the small church listed on the card. It was simple. No flashy lights, no big speakers, just worship music playing gently and a few women already kneeling in prayer. Prophet Elijah met them at the door. He led Amanda to the altar and asked her to kneel. "Don't be afraid," he said. He laid his hand on her head and began to pray. As he prayed, his voice grew louder and more intense. Suddenly, he opened his eyes and said, "A red cloth was used. A friend you trust. She entered the shrine for your sake. She made you unrecognizable in the eyes of men." Amanda's eyes widened. Her mother covered her mouth and began to cry. The prophet lifted his hand and shouted, "Power of God, remove the veil now." Amanda screamed loud, the kind of scream that came from somewhere deeper than pain. She collapsed on the ground shaking. People rushed forward. A few women covered her with clothes. The prophet shouted, "Let the evil return to where it came from." At that very moment, miles away, Ruth was seated in front of her mirror applying powder. She smiled at her reflection, but her mirror suddenly flickered. She looked again. A crack appeared, then another. Then the black pot inside her wardrobe made a strange, loud sound, like glass shattering underwater. Ruth stood up confused. She opened her wardrobe just in time to see the pot burst open in a cloud of smoke. Then she started screaming. Back at the church, Amanda slowly opened her eyes. The room felt light. Her chest felt free. For the first time in a long time, she could breathe fully. The prophet smiled. God has done it. Amanda sat up slowly and tears poured from her eyes. She didn't know what to say. She just cried like someone who had been trapped underwater and finally reached the surface. Meanwhile, Ruth was running, barefoot, hair scattered and eyes wide. She shouted Amanda's name again and again, grabbing her own face as if trying to rip something off. Neighbors gathered. Phones came out. Someone whispered, "Isn't this Ruth?" Another said, "Is that not Amanda's best friend?" Ruth was found near a dustbin, muttering Amanda's name over and over. Her wig was gone, her nails were broken, and her eyes were red. Bystanders were filming her with their phones, and from that day, she never returned to normal. Amanda didn't wake up famous. She didn't walk out of the church into the arms of a man. No spotlight followed her. In fact, the day after her deliverance, she spent most of the morning sitting in her room, staring at her hands, quiet thinking. For the first time in months, she looked at her reflection in the mirror and saw herself, her real self. The fear in her eyes were gone. The heaviness that used to sit on her chest like a stone had been lifted. But now came the harder part, rebuilding. Her mother was overjoyed. She danced quietly in the kitchen that morning, boiling yam and singing praise songs. "Thank you, Jesus," she said over and over. "You fought for my child." Amanda smiled faintly from her room, but deep down, she felt wounded. So much had been taken from her. Her peace, her pride, her reputation. It wasn't something deliverance alone could erase, because healing takes time. The news of Ruth's madness had spread, but Amanda said nothing. She didn't even want to see her. Some people came to Amanda's house to check on her, but they were only there to gossip. She served them with a smile but didn't tell them anything. She had learned that not everyone who sits in your house is on your side. Weeks passed. Slowly, Amanda began to live again. She returned to her online business. She reactivated her WhatsApp. She joined a women's fellowship in a quiet church nearby and started volunteering.